This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, we're going to figure this out. Welcome here in person and virtually. Today is Monday, August 19th, 2024. This is the meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. Jamie Buckett, the chair of the committee, joined by John Pepe, Connie Dawson, Cassie Eckhoff. Josh knows a lot of work. He could not make it today, but we will soldier on. So our first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting that Connie circulated today, from the July 15th meeting. Everyone have a chance to look at those? Any questions, any concerns?
I did. Hi, Cassie.
Go ahead. I was going to make a motion to approve them.
Okay,
I have a topic.
before we do that, let's see what John has.
I think it was a great job of concisely
Thank you.
summarizing, getting to the covering important stuff. There was one thing that I'm a little worried about. I'm not sure, it's not a big deal, but where are my minutes? It's the section where you talk about the local solar ordinance.
Oh, right, that's the part.
So I'm not sure that it kind of suggests that the way they wrote it might be unlawful at this point. And
Well, I thought that's what we said at the last meeting, because there was that lawsuit, so that's not the case.
I don't know about our law ordinance. Other ordinances were unlawful, and I'm like,
We don't really have an ordinance.
well, it was only a draft, right?
Right,
We said it was
right.
a draft.
Right,
But yeah, I just think it
Okay,
it
so
might be, it might be someone may want to review it to see if it's unlawful, or nobody knows whether it meets but it suggests that it suggests a little too heavy that it's unlawful as it stands.
well, my understanding was that's exactly the case, that there was I think you're the one who originally told us about it, that there was a lawsuit, I forget what town, Brookline maybe,
It's not
where they tried to legislate some restrictions on installations, and it was considered the Healy, who was the attorney general at the time, ruled that it was not legal to do that.
Right, I think it went to a court case, right?
Yeah.
It was a chief justice of the Mass Supreme Court, but that was that town. And everyone is
pursue it, here, because
okay, but it just want to make clear that it's not because ours is illegal, but because we're concerned about legality with these things.
Okay.
So I propose, can we make a slight adjustment? to
Yeah,
that?
sure.
If there's any other objections or any other requested changes to that, I think that's easy enough to just make an amendment to that sentence.
You get the gist of it, however you want to
Absolutely,
word that.
yeah, I'll fix it, yeah.
Okay, so if we fix that. Cassie, you want to jump in now?
Oh, you just want to move.
You muted, but so you want to
Make a motion to approve.
a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment discussed. Second, John seconds. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes will be passed. There'll be a slight amendment and then submitted to the city clerk. Thank you, Connie.
Before we move on, can I just publicly acknowledge Connie for getting the letter done for the climate action plan?
Thank you,
Thanks
Cassie.
again. Thanks, Connie.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Well, it did turn out to be a much bigger job than I anticipated, but I also think the recommendations and suggestions that were made were very appropriate. It's hard to do that kind of thing by committee online,
Right.
but I appreciate everyone's input as well. But thank you, Cassie, for saying
I
that.
could have had a little bit, I could have gotten through all of it, but
I should tell you guys, I discovered after, I think it was the day Cassie, no, it was after Cassie had left, that what had been submitted, what it said, a letter from the EAC instead of letter from the future. And Cassie told me that we can't do anything about it. But I thought, well, I'm just going to try to do something about it.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with Weston Sampson, and Cassidy sent me a corrected page.
Oh, nice.
And I sent it to Lindsay, who was out of the office. I guess she was on vacation, but then she finally wrote back and said that they can change it. So
Good.
It's all is well.
Okay, I think that's that's an important distinction.
It bothered me. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, let's move into public speak portion. See, we have at least one member of the public who's joining us online. If you have something you'd like to bring to the committee, feel free to unmute yourself and do that.
You mentioned the name.
Sorry, my mic wasn't on.
Oh, no problem, Stan. I was wondering maybe you were able to unmute yourself, but yeah. Hi, how are you?
So I just joined the meeting today to see what was going on. It's my first meeting. I'm trying to understand what's being planned, but I have nothing to offer at this time.
Okay. Well, we welcome you today to catch up on the things that we have going on. We'll be going through them sort of one by one here and try to be concise and yeah, and then feel free to bring some additional comments, think back in the future based on the. But thanks for coming. Okay, so into the next phase of things, which is our committee updates. Cassie, as we mentioned last time, Cassie Traggart, our longtime conservation agent, who was our liaison to the city, has now left her position for the greener pastures of Germany for the time being. And so we have a lot more on our plates here just to keep everything afloat for the time being, until such a time as we get another government liaison. They have, my understanding is that there is a new conservation agent that has been hired, but they will not be working with us because we will be working in the future most likely with a sustainability coordinator, which is sort of part 3 there.
Do you know when that person is starting or the
Don't know. I mean, so the update on that is the city council had to approve, right? And I believe they did that.
Okay.
I'm not 100% clear on that. They had to approve that position being created. Then it has to be posted.
Oh, the sustainability. That
It's not about
position
conservation
already
agent.
exists. It's the sustainability one that has to be.
Yeah, sorry. The conservation hiring, I believe has already started.
Okay,
Yeah. That was my understanding. I think last conversation I had with Cassie was that was happening. So Cassie obviously did send, a pretty extensive exit memo with a lot of details, a lot of it related to the Conservation Commission, but some of it for us as well. So we'll touch on some of those things as we go. But yeah, the city sustainability coordinator position, which will be our liaison with the city going forward, it's probably going to be under DPW instead of the Department of Planning, based on what we know at this point, which I think is not a bad thing. There's obviously still a lot of hiring with the Department of Planning that needs to happen right now. So I don't have any updates on any of that at the moment, but
Are they approved to advertise yet?
I don't know if the city council approved it officially at one of their most recent meetings. I believe it was on the agenda and I just haven't had a chance to check in on it. So if they did, then it can be posted and then they can start getting applicants reviewing. And again, we've been told that, I will probably be part of like some sort of interview process and we will be able to have some input on that position. So then for the green communities, climate leader communities, you started doing this, I know. So Cassie did manage to get our application submitted.
She is a
Yeah, I think that was in her exit memo. She said she did manage to get every piece. Okay. So according to that, she was able to get everything submitted. She thinks we may be the first community that actually did submit. And that, we should hear back, and that's Chris Mason, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
So yeah, check what she said in the exit memo before you reach out to him,
Okay.
just so you have the updated info. But
Did she email that to us or is it on
the exit memo? Yes, it's email. I believe it's also on the drive,
Okay.
but it was it was. If you don't have it, I can forward
I
it.
probably do. I've been away and so I haven't.
Yeah, it's August, we're all, nobody's paying attention to it as much as they are other times of the year. So yeah, take a look for that, but she did outline where everything was, and I believe said that it's all good. So yeah, and with that, then the other piece is, our current green communities designation. John, she did some handoff with you on follow-up when we have to get to the annual report, which is in November. In the meantime, there's not really anything else for us to do we're not going to have the wherewithal to really put a grant proposal for anything together on that. Plus, if we get the climate leader designation, that's going to open up some other stuff, and that's going to be a bigger discussion.
We do need to make sure that Mass Energy Insights database for Easthampton is updated quarterly, I guess it is, or
Okay.
I think it's quarterly. I gotta check my notes, but
Yeah.
regardless of whether they're applying for any kind of a grant, that's just something we have to do, and that's what she showed me how to do.
She should, right. Okay. So you're going to keep up with that and anything else that comes through there for the time being. But again, imagine we'll be relatively quiet on those updates.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, again, I don't know how quickly they might turn around these climate leader designations, but, we got one of the first applications in and we have all our requirements met, I believe. So, the climate action plan being, a key piece of that, or at least the decarbonization roadmap that was created as part of that. So
I just have a question about that. Like, if we did want to do a grant, what's the deadline for it for the next round?
I believe it's like, usually I think it's October and April are the deadline. So October, but again, we're not going to be able to put anything together. There's not a clear path that we have towards what we would want money for through green communities. And again, with the climate leader thing, we just going to open up additional.
Like, I don't have as much faith that the climate leader thing is going to happen that quickly,
Right. But again, once it does, there may be additional.
Yeah,
they
I
may
just
have
was wondering if we should do both.
their own grant rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if
there
we
was
had a
something
full,
we had pulled together.
yeah, but even before, when Cassie was still here, we didn't have a clear
I
idea of
know.
what our next grant
know.
thing we might want. So,
Yeah.
it's something to think about, with the climate leader communities, what they might want to be. I mean, it's going to be similar, right? Probably, decarbonization, something with like measurable goals, that we can
I
implement.
mean, I just was wondering, I mean, by October, maybe we could put something together just about, what John talked about at our last meeting, is developing a group of volunteers to get trained to, be consultants about heat pumps.
Coaches, yeah.
Coaches, yeah. That might not be that difficult to put together. I'll look into it. I'll see if I can figure out how we might do that. Because it would be nice to sort of have that going at the same time that our pilot program is getting underway, like sort of to get people interested in becoming coaches.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think it to do it in conjunction with the heat pump program, potentially, where you could the people could be out there pitching that specifically as like our local thing, right? While it exists, or if we'll catch up to that.
Okay.
I think those are great. That's great outreach idea.
Not sure how high the standards are at green communities for, how well fleshed out proposals are and thought out and how they differ from other communities and that sort of stuff. My suspicion is that we don't know enough about what's needed and what needs to be done yet to really put together a good grant proposal. If it's not really competitive, we could try it anyway, but I think we need some time to think through what exactly we're asking for, over what time period, who leads it up, what the objectives are. I mean, it's
agreed. And the thing with green communities too is
I don't know what Cassie thinks, actually. Cassie,
green communities is focused on municipal carbon reduction, right? So it's like when we get the EVs for the police and we do that thing. So it's so just like out dealing with the general public. But I think that's where I think like climate leader may then have more of an external capacity potentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's still climate leader. It's because like things like decarbonization roadmap, which deals, again, exclusively with municipal
That makes sense.
stuff. It's probably still going to be very focused on the municipal, municipal control, what things we have control of as a municipality. So,
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah, but again, I think that public outreach stuff is really an area that we can focus on here coming up. And Cassie, did you have anything or no? John was just mentioning you. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the climate action plan real quick. We got the final version. Again, that's the time crunch thing. I have not had time to really look at it too much, but
public, right?
It is public. I believe it's been put up on the city web.
As a final?
Yes.
Yeah, I had trouble, under EAC, I found it, but just on the Facebook page and other
Yeah.
places. I'm not good at looking for things sometimes, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, we didn't, so it hasn't really been published or publicly put out there like that. So that's why my next thing here. was
Okay,
Potentially for a press release, right? We haven't put it up on
Good.
the Energy Advisory Committee Facebook page. I think there can be a next level of, because there was I refound an article from like last February, which was like about, the Gazette ran about us creating the climate action plan, the very beginning stages of it. So the natural follow
Right.
is from now that it's completed. So I don't know if the mayor's office already has a plan for that. Again, Lindsay would usually do that. She is out through next week. So I'll, want to check in with her when she's back and see, if they do have a specific plan.
You guys,
Yeah.
I definitely accessed it off of Facebook, and I'm looking right now. I thought I saw. Why do you have to mow your lawn now? Let's see. I thought I saw something in the Gazette.
Yeah, was that? I mean, again, it's possible I missed something.
was it about this? I mean, about this, not about the community aggregation or climate
No.
leader stuff. Yeah.
Excuse me. No, about the climate action plan.
The climate
But-
action,
I'm probably wrong.
the climate action plan, if you go to the city's website and type in climate action plan, it comes
Yeah.
up.
Right, but she's saying, if she maybe saw it on Facebook, which the city,
Right.
the city's put all their announcements, like from all different departments through the main city account.
But I thought John was saying that it wasn't.
Well,
there.
that's what he said. He hadn't seen it.
Yeah, so that may have been, they may have done that. yeah.
Again, yeah, I'm not aware if it's been posted or not. I can't say for sure. What I can say is that there has not been a press release that's gone out, and I've not seen a news article about it. So we
Right.
do want to do a more public push with that, and to highlight the community input that we got as part of that process. Right, that this is not something that just the mayor did or that our committee did. This is really something that happened with a lot of input across the board and over many months. I forgot it had taken 18 months from beginning to end here. So
I'm just looking at the agenda. It says final plan review, but that's.
yeah, I think I just screwed that up.
Done.
It's done. There's nothing to review or change. Yeah, I think that was just me missing updating that from my previous
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
But thank you for asking that. Yeah, so it's just really about the next steps and getting it out there. And then, again, when we have a staff position with the city that can really start to work with us, and we can start to identify like, okay, here's the actions that we have here. Like, what can we reasonably start to take on? And again, that's where looking at climate leader and some of these other things, like let's compare that against what we have in the climate action plan. Let's really talk about what our priorities are, and what we can take on, what's available. And again, having a staff person, somebody else, other things on staff to really focus on that will be helpful. Cassie.
I'm so sorry for the background noise.
Yeah.
Before Cassie left, we talked about developing a program for businesses to become stars, whatever it is. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Edict convening again after the summer to develop what it would look like, an incentive program. And Cassie and I talked about how basically it would be pretty cheap. Basically, it's just some kind of graphics work and then printing stickers or giving people JPEG files to use on their correspondence. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Excellent.
By the way, I had a hunch there had been something too, but you're right. But what in the Gazette, it was about the draft plan. On June 24th, they ran an article about
Okay.
CMC's climate action plan. So that was probably what we're thinking of.
The most recent thing, yeah. Good. Well, again, we'll put a bow on it with a final.
So we're not going to put a lot of energy into introducing the plan. We're going to put energy into introducing whatever we want to focus on. I'm just thinking about tabling and that sort of thing. Like, do we want to table just about the plan itself, big picture.
Right. Well, I think in the near term, sure. I mean, we want to highlight that it's been done, right? I mean,
Okay,
people know
okay.
about it. People know about it, but again, we haven't had the closure of like, okay, now it's completed, it's available.
Right.
Right. Making it, again, it should probably be available from more obviously like on the city website, right? Maybe it should be linked from like the homepage somewhere, or something like that. Or at least in a menu that drops down that you can easily find it without having to like type into the search bar. We're going to get to a similar conversation with aggregation here in a second because we've had a request to make a change based on that.
Okay.
So,
Let's move on.
yeah, but I think we can highlight that it's been done, and then as we start to pick through the individual pieces, and each of those becomes its own unique project, task, agenda item, then we start to talk about that because it's something that it's like,
Yeah.
it's more real.
I just was wondering if we wanted to do sort of another community meeting where we show it to people, or is that just sort of not necessary?
Right. Whether we want to do like a public unveiling sort of
Yeah.
thing or like
Yeah.
Q&A.
Or not?
Wouldn't that be better? Oops, sorry. Wouldn't it be better to wait for the new sustainability person to come on board and introduce him or her to the public?
Both at the same time. That's a great point. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
One thing we might want to introduce publicly, whether that's in a tabling or a forum, is that 6-page resident guide, which I just first got to look at, which is less detailed than I thought it would be. Fewer links, but well organized, and there are links to what people can do. And
so good point. That's a good, because that's really what we talked about, right? In the development of that is the resident guide is what becomes like the tabling things, right? It's like what you have available for people, the quick takeaway, right? Okay, I want to be able to, put something into action, or I want to learn about something, like that's where you go to do it. So that's a good point.
One further question on that. Is the budget, they paid off and the budget's gone, Weston Sampson, and there was no final presentation of the completed thing in the scope of work, completed plan?
Best of my
I don't
knowledge.
remember hearing that there'd be one, so, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Best of my knowledge.
if they've got a good PowerPoint summary that they've most recently used with us or somebody that we could then use when I'm thinking that public might be complicated, but in some ways, like, it might be cool if the mayor kind of got all the departments, some meeting, they had all the department heads together. You guys had input into this. We've worked on it. We've got public comment. Here's the final thing. This is what we're all pulling for.
Yeah.
And, what are your thoughts? What are you going to do?
No, that's a good point too, because that was part of the input, right? And that's what we want to promote, is that it was municipal input, it was the departments, it was the public. And so I can ask Lindsay again too, what the plan is. If maybe they already, they're waiting for September when people are back, but are they planning a press release? Yeah. Is there some follow-up with, departments that they want to do, and see if they've got anything planned. If not, then maybe we can help them, push towards that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, those are good points. Thank you. Okay, so let's move to the next piece, the municipal aggregation. These two, timing and next steps, are kind of the same thing, but the quick update is that just today we got an update from Good Energy. So they have been waiting for the new DPU guidelines to be finalized so they could update our plan. Those guidelines did get finalized earlier this month. They just delivered a new draft plan to us today that is updated with those new guidelines in mind. According to what Rafita said, it's been simplified and is more flexible, which was part of the goal of updating the DPU guidelines. So there's a couple task requests that she's made for us, which is that they need a certified copy of the city council approval, essentially their approval of that back a couple years ago, from the city clerk's office. So I'll work to get that done. And then they asked again for a more prominent placement of the website on the city website, a link to the aggregation plan website. or the aggregation program website.
Who does that?
The program website,
Yeah.
Good Energy does it.
No, I mean, like
City-
that
city-
request with the city, like who is in charge of
IT
that?
department.
It's the IT department.
Do we know, is there a place that's accessible where this newly updated post DPU guidelines review, where it's now
Where
located?
our
or we can-
plan,
Yeah.
yes, I have uploaded that to the drive. And it's in the municipal aggregation folder in the shared drive.
Okay.
I also uploaded, we also received our letter from DOER saying that we met the requirements of having our consultation with them and that they don't have any qualms about us moving forward. So that box has been checked. So DOER requirements are fulfilled. So those are both in the drive. And, so yeah, so we need to, again, get the certification of the city council approval. Boy, I'm talking all through myself here. And then we do need to ask them to update the website, try to find a more prominent place to link that to, so it's a little more readily
I feel like that's
accessible.
an issue with the website in general.
Yeah, they sent me some examples of some other towns that we could use as like guides for, this is how other places have done it. So see if there's something.
Nice if they had one of those. I know, we can't occupy headline space on the city website all the time, but if they had one of those slideshow kind of
Yeah.
circulating, here's one program and there's another one,
Yeah.
and you'll catch it. If you wait a minute, you'll catch what the other ones are, or get it the right day, you'll catch it. But,
Right. Well, I'll see what the IT department can do and what their suggestions are, and then if we want to like make some additional suggestions, or we can do that. In the meantime, then reviewing this updated plan, again, it is there if anybody wants to take a look and comment on it. I will, look through it as well and try to get back to it. I haven't had a chance to do it today, but yeah, we'll provide any comments we want, and then from there, if we're okay with it, I think basically we get it ready to submit to DPU.
Excellent. So I just spaced out. I'm sorry, I'm very tired today. Did you say that the new plan is you have posted it on the drive?
Yes, it's in the drive for us to
Okay.
access.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so once we're ready to do that, they can get it ready for DPU submission. Again, we'll need the city council piece they've asked for.
So do we need to wait until our next meeting, or can we?
No, I don't believe so. If you have comments that you want to,
Maybe you can
provide
give us
to
a
me.
deadline if we haven't.
I'd say this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold them up beyond this week. I don't think there's probably too much, I don't imagine, and it's not a dig at anybody. There's not going to be too much substantive change that we're going to ask for in it. It's going to be fairly, pro forma, I think, as far as these things go. But it is a little bit new because it is the new simplified guidelines. So there may be something or some things that we want answered or have questions about.
And they submit it.
They will submit it on our behalf. Although, well, that's a good question. Will it be submitted by them, or will they require the mayor's office to submit it formally? I'll clarify that. Yeah, that's one thing I don't actually know. So, yeah, so take a look in the next few days if you'd like to, and provide any comments, feedback for them. We'll do the same, and then we'll see what they say in terms of how we go about getting the submission. And then hopefully for the next meeting, we'll have an update on it being submitted and maybe a time frame for potential approval. And then worry about the bidding process and everything from there. So next thing is the heat pump pilot program. Cassie, do you want to give us an update on that? Okay. We can't hear any background noise there,
Oh,
fortunately.
you can't? Okay, great. Well, I can't hear myself talk, but I'll talk anyway. Meg Howard did get back to me today. There's no updates. It's still working its way through internal approval process, which isn't really very surprising in August, to be honest. So
Yeah. But have they picked the winning bid at this point, or the winning applicant?
they are leaning toward Block Power Revise.
Okay.
They say why, or
Well, let's leave that out for now because that's internal,
point, good point.
deliberation with them. So, just right. I did think I was trying to remember the last update I saw, which is the same one that you're probably looking at. And I think again, Cassie put some info in their exit memo about this as well. If anybody wants to read up on that. So yeah, Cassie was introduced to them as the liaison going forward. So when there are updates, hopefully they'll run through her and she can provide those to the rest of us. So yeah, until somebody officially is chosen, we don't really know what the next steps for implementation are going to be yet. When they are chosen, I would love to invite them, representatives, to come to a meeting so that we can have them talk to us directly and tell us about their plans and maybe give them some direct suggestion feedback.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
Could tell if that was
we should read, I'm thinking about it, we should, we had a chance to look at their proposals. Some of us did, before they come in, be good to reread what they had proposed, or it'll, by that point, there might be a contract in place with their scope of work. It might be modified, presumably it'll be modified from what they actually proposed to do. As the DOER people, Chris Mason and those folks, they had some really specific demands they're putting on and tough questions they're putting to the various applicants. And I'm thinking they might modify what they proposed, but particularly about how they use the budget. But
yeah.
So getting our hands on those or the scope of work and getting prepped and then bringing them in.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I also think that because it's a collaboration between two organizations, that whatever they originally submitted will have morphed somewhat. So it will be interesting to see what got peeled off or peeled on.
I'm always most concerned about how much of the money is going to be for direct incentives, right? And direct
So do we want to actually have this meeting be with the Northampton people, or is that too complicated?
Yeah, I'd probably too complicated. I don't know.
I think it'd be very much approved of and appreciated by the consultant who's just killing two birds with one stone. I mean, don't repeat the same thing over. I mean, at least in terms of the initial stages of here's the plan. Maybe later on we're going to have our own meetings.
Well, right. I wouldn't view it at our meeting, I guess. But if we would have to do it as a separate thing that would be not an official committee meeting,
right?
Where they could present. I mean, we could ask questions. We wouldn't be able to do anything formal in the capacity of the committee there, but we could learn and have the Northampton people there if they were willing to put something together that we could all join. Online or whatever.
Nice way to kind of.
So
I
just want to clarify: we're not suggesting then that they meet with us and then meet with Northampton and us, or are we suggesting?
No, I think we could do a joint meeting. It's just an opportunity for us to learn and then, provide feedback or answer. Have our questions answered, like those kinds of things. Cassie,
I'll play devil's advocate here. I think Cassie told me one of the big roles, for me, is to advocate for Easthampton. And so I would argue that they should meet with us to know that we're serious, that we're different than Northampton, and to get our opinions and thoughts on this project. And reminding everybody it's open meeting law. So, I don't know, it could get really complicated if it's two cities. Just a thought. Those are just my thoughts.
That makes sense in a way too, because we would be happy to meet with Northampton, but maybe this organization should plan that for us, because isn't that partly their job to sort of I don't know.
There's no required public review, right? That would be normally kind of how you would do something like that. Maybe you do something that Northampton and Easthampton would be a part of, and then you open it up to the public to also hear about, but there's no required thing like that. So, Cassie, I hear you about the open meeting law. It's crossed my mind when I'm thinking about, if we get all four of us together somewhere to, listen to something, a part of this, do we need to then have that be, in compliance with open meeting? Or can we do it, again, if we're all four in a room, like ever, does that require, a formal, open meeting?
Wait,
Okay.
now I'm confused. I'm sorry. So it would be an open meeting if we met with this whatever organization.
If we're doing it in the context of our committee meeting, yes, of course.
Yes.
If it's something else, then I think Cassie's saying, like, would we still be required to be compliant? Would we need to record it and
I think
post
we
it?
would if it was
Or have
the
minutes?
committee meeting with, wouldn't it still be?
Right, then we
considered-
would need to have an agenda and have it posted
Right.
and all those sorts of
I
things.
think I've heard this case come up before. And, townspeople from different towns representing different boards of things come to hearings or to multi-town things and that they had a different standard for that. I'm not sure, but I think it might work, but who do we ask?
Well,
Leslie? Not Leslie, the
I think
mayor's assistant.
Lindsay, maybe, yeah, we could maybe ask, but maybe in the interest, again, we don't even have
Yeah, we don't know who it is.
we don't know who it is yet, but in the
Right.
interest of keeping it simple for the moment, and John, I hear you that like doing it with Northampton has benefits, but Cassie, I hear you as well, and you've been appointed sort of as the liaison for this, and if you think, having us meeting with them directly to advocate for our point of view and our stuff as a first step, potentially, I think could be a good thing. And then if it makes sense to do a more joint meeting, later with Northampton as they're like rolling things out or something like that, just so, there's a common point of communication, right? They're going to give us updates and those updates should go to both towns, right? Every time they're doing a monthly or a quarterly update on what they're doing, like we want to all see that. So there's, value in bringing us all together as well. But I think you're a good point that there's value in us advocating for ourselves and being,
I like the idea of having the update meetings be together, or at least the first one, maybe.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I have a minor thing to bring up. This is just sort of informationally. I was, I took my granddaughter to get a haircut at, I forget the name, it's like Shears, or it's right on Main Street. And the woman who owns it was explaining to me that she rents and she would love to get heat pumps, but she's probably instead going to put in a pellet stove because of the issue that she has to pay for it herself because she's a business, which is, Cassie, it's a completely different story. The landlord has to do nothing for her.
Mhm.
And she paid, like if she wants the lights changed, anything. And if she does heat pumps, it's on her dime.
Right.
So, I'm not sure. I don't even know what she might be eligible for. It's a whole other little problem. It's not the landlord paying for it. It's not the owner. It's a tenant, but the tenant would pay for the heat pumps. So it's just one more thing to have in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a specific case that
And she told me that that's true for most retail businesses, and restaurants and stuff. They pay for stuff.
Right.
And that's just
Right, because they have specialty things.
And
like heating and cooling isn't specialty stuff.
There is heat in that building.
Right.
And so, she would I guess she doesn't think it works well, or what, I don't know. And
Right.
she would like to change that. She would be more than happy to have mini splits,
Right.
but it gets complicated for her because of the fact that the landlord, I guess, is I don't know, but it's just, I didn't really think about, is she eligible for any incentives? I have no idea. Anyway, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's tricky. I can't answer that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's something that.
Right.
that
But it's
we
one
need
of
to be
those things
aware
that
of.
a coach or a liaison type person
Exactly, yeah.
can do. So
Yeah.
to bring that back into the fold, one of the things we'll want to talk about with whoever gets chosen when we have a conversation with them, hey, we want to help promote what you're doing. And then we also just want to promote this stuff in general, right? Because whoever it is probably doing other work that might be outside the scope of this project. I mean, they're definitely going to be, right? This is going to be a small part of their
Right.
business. So it's sort of we want to promote this program, but that's one thing. Number two, we'd like to see it continue, past the initial $500,000 or whatever. And maybe, can we talk about ways that we can, think about making it a longer term thing? And then also, but we want to help promote, this idea, the idea of electrification and, efficiency and bringing in these new technologies, across the board. And so how do we do that, right? Coaching sort of things where, sometimes they're volunteers, sometimes they're people, like in the case of, Marin, who we know, who's like trying to do that as a business, where he like helps people and businesses go through that process and help them navigate all the different pieces. So there's different ways to approach that, and different people are approaching it different ways. And then also we have like, residence guide. Is there something else that we should,
The
residence guide from the climate action plan? And, where is the alignment with that, right? Is our public outreach focused on that? Is there overlap between that and what they're trying to do? There's all these pieces, right? Information that we're trying to get out there about all these different opportunities. So that's something we want to discuss with them, and see what we can leverage with what they're doing that maybe helps us promote some other things too. And there's one or two other things that might come up on that over here. So, all right. Anything else on the heat pump? Then we'll wait for an official designation and move on, try to get some more information from there. Thanks, Cassie. School bus electrification, John, you were giving us a quick update before.
Yeah, we tried 3 times to set up a meeting with the transportation liaison from the school committee, and she proposes something and then goes away and doesn't respond. I CC'd you and Megan from the school committee on the last communication, just so she knows that we've been reaching out and waiting for some action.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep at it, and it'll happen eventually. But other than that, no real updates.
Well, I did get caught up by Cassie Rickard on what she knew of the Hilltown regional school district situation administratively, and some names of people who might be interested for on behalf of their towns anyway that we could talk to.
Okay.
All this has got to start with Sam Hunter or whoever the school committee has worked with us, and then we talk with business manager and the superintendent as well.
Okay.
Have a meeting. Hopefully that'll happen by September. But
Okay. So this next piece is relatively new, and that's what we've really talked about before. On lights. Thank you. All right. So, EV infrastructure. I know we've kind of had this on here without too much in the way of like concrete stuff going on, but there was a meeting that I was part of a couple of weeks ago. Apparently there's been a proposal to the city by a company called East Coast Renewable Energy that is looking to potentially help the city get some level 3 EV chargers. So gentleman from that company gave a presentation to me and Lindsay from the mayor's office, and Mark Tanner, who is the city solicitor, city attorney. And so just running through some different options there. There's 2 options that they've presented, which are that the city would potentially own and operate these, or that East Coast Renewables would own and operate them, and that the city would basically lease them or have them available for people. There are incentives available, obviously, which a private company like East Coast Renewables can take advantage of that the city can't always. So part of that is, the way it's structured, and I can share more information about this. I'm not going to read this all like into the record here at this point, but there's pros and cons to each of these. Owning and operating, of course, we assume more risk for dealing with maintenance and those sorts of things, but also we are eligible for more like 100% of the revenue, 100% of the profit. So there are expenses which he lays out essentially for it.
I guess that one of the questions is, what is the profit? Like, is this really a moneymaker?
Well, he included an ROI calculator, which is based on some assumptions. I'm happy to share this with people.
Just in general,
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't even sure that that was the case, that you made money on it, really.
Well, long term,
How much you charge?
right, that's part of it. So then there's, then the opposite, which is if East Coast Renewables owned and operated, they cover everything and they would give the city a 50% profit share is what he's proposing. And East Coast Renewables would deal with all the, electric bill, maintenance agreement, all the insurance. They would have to create, you have to create an LLC and stuff for these and managing, all these different things. So they would create a new LLC, and he said they would be happy to have someone from the city to be on the LLC. They would open the books to the city to reconcile profits, allow the city attorney to draft the operating agreement, which would be then cleared by their attorney. So that's one of the reasons the city attorney was in the call. So I think they're just kind of waiting for us to, for the mayor to review, for us to weigh in if we have anything. I'm trying to remember if I knew exactly where they were going to put these. That may be
They have definite ideas.
What's
They
that?
had some definite ideas of it.
Well, I think,
That's been city property, I assume.
Well, yeah, I would assume so, especially if the city was going to own it. So I don't know exactly where they were thinking about for this. I ended up missing the first 15 minutes of the meeting because I was caught up with something for work. So, anyway, where location is definitely one question I have. I haven't spoken to the mayor specifically about it or anybody else after. I just asked Nick, who's the guy, to send me the information.
And you probably can't see, would they all have to be in one place, or could they be scattered?
Well, that's what I know. Not necessarily. They could be scattered, I believe. So, because they just wrote project addresses like anywhere. It's like not.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of whether or not it's a good idea to lease a car.
Right.
There are so many reasons why the answer is yes or no, depending on circumstance.
Yeah.
So
I will just say, for this, there are three use cases. One is like a low utilization, one is a mid, and one is a high utilization. And so there's different, costs and revenues associated with each of those levels and, what you might clear. So this, according to this, the payback is like not much. The annual profit is not huge, but it's, low utilization, it's somewhere around $7,500. Mid, it's like $20,000, and high utilization comes in around like 41,000, based on some assumptions and that can be the number of annual visitors. So it says.
yeah. Well, we'll let the mayor. I mean, who knows what would be better,
Right.
owning, or I know she always says the city should never own anything possible.
Yeah, and I would imagine
That
that's
was clarified to say buildings.
that's building
I asked
for
for
sure.
that.
I'm just throwing that out.
But
you know.
there's also like infrastructure and all the other headaches that would come
Yeah.
with owning and operating it, where you've got to manage all
And
that stuff.
and then what's the life of the
Right, and you're getting 100% of the profit potentially, but then you're owning 100%.
but is it really
of it and spending.
exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. If it's a
So
good
there's
idea.
definitely a little more to dig into with this, and also like with the owning, where says they would, East Coast Mills would donate the cost of the installation, infrastructure, and equipment. But it's based on current incentives that are available, right? We know there's incentives through the utilities and other programs, which is how, say, Bruce in Northampton is getting his project off the ground. as
Right.
well.
Right.
Just a quick aside, did everybody see the article in the Gazette?
Oh, yes, I said it in the email about it, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was going to send it to the group. Nice to see him quoted in there and to see that project, which is
I thought it
definitely,
looked like he was in a really good mood when we all had dinner with Cassie.
Right.
Like things are going well.
yeah.
He's scared though still.
I'm sure he is.
Scared.
It's amazing.
Well,
he's
it's a
doing
lot
it.
to still take on. There's that extra retail stuff and everything that has to be done. So it's a lot.
Well, this sounds like it could be fabulous. This,
Right.
East Coast Renewables. But obviously it's really more up to the city to decide whether or not they want to pursue it. I mean, the finances of it are.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm happy to share, the document, the ROI piece that he sent over. That's about all I have. I can this or summarize this stuff for you as well. So you can take a look and see.
Yeah.
There's certainly probably some more questions to be asked.
Well, and also
And-
who who are these people? You know, are they?
Right. I mean,
recognized?
I've heard of them before. They are
Oh, yeah.
recognized.
Do you have contracts with other cities?
Yeah, he's done this in a few other places. I'm trying to remember exactly where. But they have worked with some other municipalities on this. They do solar as well. They're not just
Oh, I
like an
see.
EV, you know, they're a solar installation company. And again, probably just, you know, given the volatility in solar, this is probably a way for them to branch out and diversify their business.
What kind of process does this go through? It's
Well,
not a
I think we-
competitive solicitation.
I think
It's-
once, if you got a site, like, you know, like Bruce has the site there, and then you can go to the utility or whatever and, like, you know, start applying for the incentives. Again, they're probably gonna have to check and make sure you've got, you know, there may be infrastructure upgrades that are needed. Or depending on, like, you know, transformer loads and things like that, whether there's, you know, sometimes you have to pay for those
Right.
if they need to do
But I
that.
mean,
So,
entering into an agreement, which could be a long-term agreement,
right.
does the city have to look at other proposals? Do they?
Yeah, well, again, it's not there's not like a public RFP process here.
Right.
This is like you know, the city, I believe, has some discretion. That's, again, the city attorneys in the meeting, so
Were
would
they,
know.
one of the attorneys, did he seem like he thought it would be a good idea?
He was engaged and was asking questions and things like that. Yeah, I mean, he was doing the due diligence on those sorts of things. So I haven't, you know, I don't know his thoughts after that, so I won't be able to speak for him.
And do you have any what the mayor was thinking?
No, she just encouraged us to have this meeting with this guy. She wanted us to meet with him just to get more information
see.
so that she could get our input on any of it. So that's why I wanted to bring it to everybody
Do
here.
you have that like on your computer, that document?
Yeah.
Yeah, would you send it to me just because I make sure I get my notes right, so I don't, that would be great.
For this, okay, yeah, I don't know if I want to put this.
No, I just want to make sure I don't
Company
say the
name.
wrong thing, like the options and stuff.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, no,
Not the actual document.
No, I just want to be sure I don't write the wrong thing.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to share it with everybody so you
Great.
can take a look.
Well, I think that sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, having increased EV infrastructure is a good thing. I mean, it's certainly something that's coming one way or the other. It's just a matter of, like, you know, we can be more proactive about it. I mean, same thing with
And if we want
bus
people
transportation.
to get electric vehicles, they have to help them charge them.
Right, and the fast chargers obviously have an advantage. I mean, you know, and yeah, potentially if you can, you know, derive a little bit of profit out of it. Again, what does that pay for? Does it pay for, you know, a sustainability position? Does it pay for some other, you know, outreach that we want to do around climate action plan things, or like actual climate action plan endeavors? You know, that's the type of thing that could potentially feed into that. So.
Might be good to run this by Bruce. I mean, he's thought about all the financial aspects and
That is a really
operations
good
and
point. We should
see if he
really
has
ask him.
thoughts about it.
Good
Bruce
idea.
Foltz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you reach out? Would you be comfortable, like,
Sure.
sending him the info?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I shouldn't put that in the notes, so should I put that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's been living this
Right.
for quite a while. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. All right. Well, if there's any other updates, I'll bring them to the next meeting.
I have one question and probably we can't answer it. Are the chargers at the school up and running? at this
Yes, I
point?
mean, yeah, they are. Cassie's
Good.
confirmed that, and I confirmed it
That's
beginning
good to
together
know.
with Nick. Times I've been there, they appear to be open for business.
Yeah,
So,
good.
yeah.
I just was
How
curious.
much usage they're getting, I don't know.
But one of the, it might encourage some people to buy EVs knowing they were there. I mean, that's sort of the reason for all of this really anyways.
Right.
Well, right now, we only have level 2 chargers.
Correct.
Yeah,
So there's some internal benefit for the city if we could set the terms for
Right.
what they charge the police department or the fire department to charge their vehicles at some point, or the DPW. But the option to have access close by to level 1.
I imagine the police department has something right now. They have the Teslas that they
I
gotta have
thought
some
they
sort of
have a
charger.
level
I think they
3.
may got a level 3 there.
Cassie told us
I
that.
believe that's correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so again, the process by which that got put in, I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe they're thinking about just even replacing the level 2s here with level 3s instead, you know, just like, maybe, but I don't know, because I don't know what sort of, you know, contract there maybe with ChargePoint or anything else for like,
Or have them here as well.
yeah, if they could find space for them as well, I don't know. So, all right, well, we'll keep an eye in here on that. Finally, we did talk a little bit the last time about the community solar partnership with Sunwealth, who I had spoken to. I think maybe I had a corresponding with her after our meeting, where she mentioned that, all their current projects seem like they're kind of subscribed, but they do have several others coming online with subscriptions for qualified customers. And that I think some of the rules have loosened in terms of like exact proximity, like people here can now more easily subscribe to things in like the eastern part of the state. But also that I think one of the projects coming online eventually is in Hadley. And there was something else that was somewhat close by as well. So
Actual solar project.
yeah, so a community solar project. These are all community solar projects. So again, they deal specifically with the low income part of the carve out for these community solar projects. All the projects have a carve out for low income subscribers.
And do you happen to know, is it low income or is it that 60% income?
Well, it's whatever people would qualify for the reduced rate with Eversource, right?
Okay. I'm not sure what that is either, but okay.
Yeah, I think it may be 60% of median income or something like that, but it's subscribers that qualify, I believe, for the low income rates that Eversource has. So
would they
again,
do I'm sorry, keep interrupting you. Would they do the outreach to the community?
well, this is the part about the mailer here. Yeah, they would want to do that. They would want to, they would want to be able to say that they're partnering with the city in some way on this, or that the city has given its, its blessing. In other cases, I think I've talked about and showed some other things that they've done with other municipalities across the state. But she did say too that with a mailer like that we could potentially go beyond just their community solar stuff. And we can, if we've got a heat pump program to help promote, or if we've got, something else that we want to get out there, other information, or we've got, a residence guide or some things from that, we could potentially put multiple things into one mailer that people would get and have multiple pieces of information for them, multiple ways that they could take action. Right, so you could subscribe for community solar. You could get into the heat pump program and get some incentives. You could, what's the other thing I was thinking of? Anyway, you could, whatever other things we may have in the residence guide that we might, you can get a mass save, audit and grant.
I love that.
Yeah.
But is there any reason why the city would not want to do this? Like the city doesn't pay anything for it or anything?
Right. No, there's no real cost to it. It's just a matter of, again, I probably want to run anything quickly by the city solicitor, just, review.
Right.
I don't even know that there would necessarily be a contract, so I just want to make sure that, solicitor and the mayor are like all discussion, because it is, a private company that's going to promote, a service that they're offering.
And the discussion that, as this came up before, was about whether, how it would appear and is it legal to have what appears to be the, what do you call it? Promoter or whatever of the city, imprimatur of the city, on a company's business offer. And how does that appear to get reactions from other businesses who might want that kind of business? Is there any issue with that? And I would think the city solicitor would
exactly
address that. And would they dealt with it?
No, I don't know about that specifically, but I mean, this EV charging thing is a very similar thing, right?
Right.
The third party company coming in,
Right.
like, what do we need to, so that's why I would want,
Except we're actually in business with them.
Well, that would
It's
be
not the one
actually-
we're not in business.
That's true. Yeah. But they are promoting a service that has value to residents, right? Or like that aligns with, for us, for our climate action plan and things like that, right? We want people to take action. It promotes solar energy. It promotes these projects, and it's helping low income people because they will get a discount too. So it helps lower their energy bill.
But I guess there is always the question of, as soon as the city is part of it, then the city then carries some of the responsibility for it. So the city has to feel comfortable doing that. Like if something went wrong. I don't know what it would be. but-
Yeah. And again, in this case, there's nothing that would prevent us from like doing the same with another company that's got, hey, we also have 10 projects that we need to find subscribers for. Can we, we
Oh,
could
I see what you're
theoretically, we
saying.
could
They-
theoretically do it. It's not like an
yeah.
exclusive.
Okay.
Possibly you could do, here's this company offering this. Here's a place you can go to look up other companies. So it doesn't appear that the people know there's other information. They go to the places that might get us off the hook, but it's probably the same reason that Mass Save doesn't recommend heat pump installers to people.
Right.
They just certify them. They're on their list. They meet our professional standards. They have whatever proper skills and experience, and
Right.
they don't recommend them to anybody.
Yeah, but
That's-
again, I mean, here's, City of Cambridge, they got their whole
Yeah.
thing, they're right on there, and Sunwealth is the company, right? So it's like, Cambridge obviously, signed off on, you can,
So actually, it would be interesting to know whether they are assuming that they would be the exclusive company doing this with the city. Is that part of their deal?
yeah, that's a good question to follow up with.
I don't think they can do that.
No, but is that their expectation? I'm just wondering that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. The other thing that she's talked about too is, this is with an organization called Heading Home, which is like they'll work with specific like housing authorities or other, groups that aren't doesn't necessarily just have to be a municipality. It could be some other, organization that has population fit the requirements. So yeah, they've worked with like, those types of groups as well.
And did you say that they're the company that Mountain View co-op used? No.
Oh, I don't know no, they use co-op power
Okay.
for theirs.
Fair value, Mark.
So, yeah, so I don't think this group, unless this group took the carve out for the low income piece of that, which they may have.
Okay.
They may have been part of that. I remember, the woman came and gave us a presentation several months ago.
And I actually, there are notes in a previous.
Yeah, there are, I know.
Which I don't ask me any questions about it.
Yeah. So anyway, the next steps would just be, when I get their timeline for when they're gonna need their next round of subscribers, when they think they want to start the outreach for that, and then we can, try to reverse engineer like what sort of approvals would be needed, whatever from there, and then what other things we might be able to promote if we.
So have we run this by the mayor or anyone else?
No, I haven't spoken directly to the mayor about this.
Okay.
So it's just been sort of percolating here
Okay.
and
So
I've been in touch with this.
We probably should.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. It would need that before. Yeah, so that's probably what I'll recommend is, again, give us a sense of the timeline, does it make sense at this point for us to like, try to talk to the mayor and see if she's on board with this so that we can.
I will offer to contact the city of Cambridge, Solar,
Okay.
Cambridge Energy Alliance Director, and find out how they negotiated, mediated these issues.
Okay, that'd be
around
great.
Sponsorship with a particular company and
Yeah.
how they justify it. And
Is it just?
I got the name.
Okay,
I got the name.
you got the name. Okay, Megan Shaw.
And then we'd at least find somebody that if the solicitor's got questions about, how they handle different obstacles and concerns, that they got the right person to talk to in Cambridge.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about this little tiny city that we live in. We don't want people, calling the main number of the city to try to get answers about something, because they'll just drive everyone
Right.
insane.
Well, no, this, they have their own phone number, their
Yeah.
email address, like they'll handle
Yeah.
all the inquiries and that sort of thing, so. Okay, so John, you'll do the outreach to Cambridge, great.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it could be really wonderful. It certainly sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, and they would again do most of the work on it to get the word out and to do all that. I mean, again, they host events, they do other things, and they sending out stuff. So there's the whole package of
It might be good for
marketing and
us to get
outreach.
our outreach going, to have them as a partner.
Yeah, it's even just good for us to have something else that we point
Yeah.
to that we're
Yeah.
affiliated with. So, okay, and I will ask about timeline and then mayoral approval. And that brings us to the end of today's agenda. Anyone have any other?
I want to ask, is Stan still here?
No, he got off a little bit ago. Anything else that anybody has for discussion right now?
I guess I would, maybe like us to have a deliberate, dedicated, maybe session of discussion amongst ourselves and whoever else from the city might be interested, but ourselves on about what are we going to do with the climate action plan and priorities, what we think the biggest bang for the buck is, who we need to bring on board, whether it's city employees, city staff, or people in the community, businesses, whatever, to form teams maybe, or whatever, working groups on different parts of the plan, because it's not going to happen by itself.
Right.
I know that. And some, we're doing some of the work already, that's the meat of it. But there's a lot more than what we're doing. And I think, it's not, if we don't do that, I'm afraid it'll be a reference document,
Right.
not a plan. It might be a reference document. It might sit on the shelf. I don't know, but
Yeah.
and understanding it too. What does it give us? What does it really do for us? What else do we need to figure out that the plan doesn't really, possibly cover? So I don't know exactly how to do that, but
Okay. Well, we can start by building out a more robust discussion of that in like the next meeting, right? We can have a bigger piece of the agenda where we, talk through it, so then we can all be looking at it together. We can.
Are there going to be any hard copies produced?
I don't know. So again, part of the the next steps, right? Press release, et cetera, like what's planned, like who, what is the mayor's plan for any of that? That's what, I've got that on my list to follow up with Lindsay when she's back, and like try to, see what that already is and see where maybe we want to push for more. Do we want to have some hard copies to distribute?
But I happen to know that she's in Chicago right now, so she may not.
Who?
Mayor.
No, I know. Yeah, Lindsay's out till next week as
Demonstrating.
well. So
I doubt if she's demonstrating.
at the DNC,
I would think it would be good to have a copy at the library, at the
Yeah.
school,
Some hard copies.
DPW, here. I mean, get some copies made, and that may be outside the scope of work, but we can probably manage it at some point.
Right.
Maybe that's part of
sure.
the next step when we go public with the thing.
I mean, I know it's very expensive to start producing a lot of hard copies, but on the other hand, people are more aware of it as a thing when there are some hard copies around.
And some people might read it, but are just, the generation or electronic limitations are, more likely to pick up
I
a
agree.
written copy or go to the library and look at it. Or
I mean, speaking as a member of this generation, if I really want to read something and understand it, I do print it out.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
easier for me. And I'm sure
It's
there are
good for
many people
marking
my
things
age
up.
that don't
It's
know.
good for marking it up to be able to have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Though I'm getting used to using a PDF editor.
Right. Google,
Yeah.
Doc
But,
comments.
but it occurs to me that maybe there is a plan to print it out, because all of those other things that they've produced have been printed.
Check the
You
school.
know,
School. Anyway, you want to end?
anyway, yeah.
Well, it's fine to back to any other thing else we have. We're doing fine on time. So I think we can again expand the discussion of that the next time around too, like
Yeah.
what our priorities are. Like
Yeah.
let's look through this and let's talk about what's possible. And like, again, it's all going to be an evolving conversation based on sustainability coordinator, based on these other
Right.
programs, based on what climate leader opens up for us,
Yeah.
all those things. But we can certainly
Yeah.
start to make those identifications.
It's almost like looking at it from the point of view, or what are the small things that we actually can get started on,
Right.
as opposed to the big things that we really need the sustainability coordinator in place for, and we need to write a grant for, and
Correct.
yeah.
Cassie.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, coming from my edict perspective, I'd rather see money spent if there is any money on postage for outreach to businesses than on actual printing of the document.
Okay.
Wait, what would the postage be posting?
Well,
Mailing it.
wouldn't it be great, to mail informational packets to all the businesses of here are all the grants you can apply for. Here's the section of the, and about the incentive program and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That is so, I so agree with you. And that's something that we don't have. We don't have that information somewhere where we can put together a packet. We don't have it for residents either. And that's something that our plan assumes is going to happen. The climate action plan.
Well, again, there's the residents guide, which
Yeah.
yeah. We do have a business guide.
Yeah,
and
we should.
businesses are
We
part of it.
definitely should.
And yeah, there's a lot that you can include in that, and like getting some information out to them. Cassie, I think, potentially working with EDIC or working with the Chamber of Commerce and, things like that, trying to get more info out there. And even something like, I wonder how many businesses might have an interest in putting in an EV charger on their property, a level 3 charger, if they knew that there were incentives available that they could get from like a utility or something.
Exactly.
Right? Like that might be the type of thing that,
Wow, that's really a good point.
And in my past work with a city, I've had to buy my own damn envelopes, let alone stamps. So, scarce resources.
Yes. Okay, so.
Well, if we wrote a grant for outreach to businesses and we got some money, some of that money could be spent on postage shortly, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might be a grant that we'll decide to try to get. We'll see.
Yeah, and again, from the whole coaching perspective, or liaison or whatever, we've used all these different terminologies. Yeah, it's really just a matter of like having somebody who's incentivized to get that word out. I mean, we are, but we're also pulled in different directions, of where it'd be great to have people who are just sort of laser focused on, I need to get this information into the hands of people that can do something with it.
Yeah. So and have because some people might be much more comfortable focusing on businesses and going around and doing that kind of coaching. One thing I think that we could get started on, because there are people in Northampton who are really interested, is the coaching program, and maybe get people together and take that class together. I found it very difficult to do by myself because I didn't understand a lot of it as time went on. I had no one I could talk to about it, But I think, if we had a group of people, even if it was like 4 or 5 people who did the class together, I think that would be really powerful.
A good number, just to start with.
I think we could get that many people because there are a couple of people in Northampton. So
I think Easthampton.
Maybe we could get that many people in Easthampton.
Wouldn't that be part of the heat pump pilot program? Learning how to develop coaches and blah, blah, blah.
Is that what the consultant's offering?
I'm thinking of it as it would be like the bridge to developing our own program after this is over,
Got it.
Continue it. The website, what is the name of that company? They have a website and there's a
Smart Alliance.
Smart
Alliance.
and they have a PowerPoint on their website.
There's good resources.
Explains a lot of how they function.
Might want to sign up.
I think I put it in the minutes, actually. Did I? I don't know.
I can send you the stuff, Cassie. There's the hook up with the Heat Smart Alliance, and they got a lot of resources on the webpage. It's easy to just put yourself in as a member, sign up as a member. They don't ask you a lot, and some good resources. I've yet to hear about when the next training is going to be. That's not just a canned online thing. They have something that's online that's simple. That's not like what Connie's talking about.
Yeah. So we just need to keep aware of that, just because if there's one coming up, we want to know about it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I mean, all good things to wrap things up here, but finding ways to move information where we want it to go.
Yeah,
Always a priority, always a challenge.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's going to do those things. So, all right. I don't have anything else for today either. So
I move we
I
adjourn.
have a move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion to adjourn and second.
When is our next meeting?
I believe it is set for September, whatever the third Monday in September. So it's September 16th. Yes, September 16th, 3 p.m. on the same Google link. That is the last one I have scheduled for the time being. Yep, September 16th. All right, I have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.